The FBI was in the other day with a lot of people, including the Attorney General, who's doing a great job, Pam Bondi, and I'm very satisfied. They gave me a complete presentation. I was very satisfied.
There's a report that you held a secret meeting today with a Saudi official. Are you any closer on expanding the Abraham Accords? Any news from that?
Yeah, we are. It's one of the things we talked about, the Abraham Accords. Now that Iran has been taken out in terms of a nuclear threat, and they have been completely taken out, at least for a very long time, I think a lot of people are going to be joining the Abraham Accords. We have 4 great countries already, but we're going to have a lot of people, I think, joining the Abraham Accords.
Last night, Donald Trump gave a speech in Iowa that wasn't just a disaster because, as always, he was completely out of it, losing his mind and slurring his words, but because he was screaming actual slurs on stage, and the mainstream media barely covered it, with the exception of one reporter who, when Donald Trump landed at Joint Base Andrews, asked him about it, pressed him, confronted him to his face, and his response is exactly what you would expect, trying to deflect as he melted down even more. We are going to get into it all because it was a long press gaggle that Donald Trump gave, in which he was completely freaking out. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our channel. Now, Donald Trump said a lot, like I said in this press gaggle, and it started with him ranting once again about VP Harris.
What they did was incredible. They took an answer from Kamala just before, the day before the election, and it was a horrible answer. And they took the answer out in its entirety, and they put another answer in, a different answer. That was a different part of the interview, because the answer she gave was so bad, it was like election threatening. And I've seen it all, but I've never seen that. Nobody has. And we understand that was done in other locations also with respect to answers. But think of it. One of the most important questions, maybe the most important question, she gave a horrible answer to it. So they took an answer from another part of the interview and they inserted it. Nobody's ever seen that before. So I think they made a wise decision to settle.
And is that $16 million for the ads, is that part of contingency for your administration to approve the merger or the sale of the company?
No, it has nothing to do with that. This is totally separate. This was when I was running. This had nothing to do with what was taking place in government. This is when I was running. This was essentially the night before the election. And they did this, and we thought it was despicable, actually.
The settlement that we saw come from Paramount because of Donald Trump's incessant attacks on 60 Minutes is one of the most disappointing outcomes of the entire Trump presidency. To see the mainstream media both cave from intimidation, but also be constantly distracted and chasing down the stories Donald Trump wants them to cover instead of doing their actual job, has been nothing short of a complete failure. It's why independent media has become so much more important, because we can actually push back, and we're happy to call out Donald Trump on his failures like he was right here when he was asked about tariffs.
We're going to start sending letters out to various countries starting tomorrow. We'll probably have 10 or 12 go out tomorrow. And over the next few days, I think by the 9th, they'll be fully covered. And they'll range in value from maybe 60 or 70% tariffs to 10 and 20% tariffs. But they're going to be starting to go out sometime tomorrow. We've done the final form, and it's basically going to explain what the countries are going to be paying in tariffs. And it's very important. It's a lot of money for the country, but we're giving them a bargain. Because if I went by the true deficits or by other ways of measuring, it could be a lot more. We don't want to. I don't want to stretch it too much. We want to keep it pretty reasonable. And I think it's very reasonable.
Sending those letters to first.
We're going to be sending, well, you're going to see tomorrow, I'd rather get it tomorrow, but we have probably 10 to 12 tomorrow. And then after that, we'll be sending 10 or 12 a day. And as we get along, as we get to the smaller countries, we're pretty much going to keep the tariffs the same.
Are there any countries that will have a little flexibility with that deadline?
Not really. They'll start to pay on August 1st. The money will start to come into the United States on August 1st, okay, in pretty much all cases. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
So, Donald Trump is still sending out letters. Oh, so scary. And he said that he's going to give the other countries a bargain. I thought we were crushing them in this trade war. I thought we were delivering overwhelming victories for America. That's not happening. No, we're not doing that anymore. Okay. I guess putting brain strikes again, the art of the deal is apparently always to cave because you're too tired, bored, and thinking about hamburgers, I guess, is what's on Donald Trump's mind right now. But there's not a lot on Donald Trump's mind. As we clearly saw, this man is dementing. He feels like he's in the 50s with what he says, how he acts. He made that very clear when he said a slur last night and was then confronted. I, of course, want to check out what he said and then him getting the pushback.
What I said, not going to help. But if you love them or if you love somebody that you're leaving it to, think of that. No death tax, no estate tax, no going to the banks and borrowing from, in some cases, a fine banker. And in some cases, Shylocks and bad people, but they took away a lot of family. They destroyed a lot of families, but we did the opposite. So just remember, to me, it's so important, and it was mostly important.
So, of course, Donald Trump knows what he was saying by using that term, and to say that, oh, I didn't mean it in that way. This is the mainstream media trying to twist my words. Trump always does that. He'll say something awful and then say, oh, the mainstream media is going to take this out of context. But what is the context when Donald Trump says enemies from within or I want to be a dictator on day one? It seems like the context is you saying something horrible and then clearly carrying it out during your presidency. But the fact this has not gotten nearly enough coverage comes as no surprise. Where's the ADL? Nowhere to be found. They were fine when Elon Musk threw up his sile, and they seem to be letting this go. It's a joke that no one is pushing back against, one, that Donald Trump is clearly losing it, and two is just like actively going back to the 50s. It is insanity how insane this man has become, and how everyone around him is still willing to bend the knee. We saw just yesterday that happened with the passage of Donald Trump's agenda, which clearly came for a reason none of us could have expected, and Chris Hayes broke it down here.
From New York, I'm Chris Hayes. Well, Donald Trump got his bill. It's unclear whether he understands what's in it, but he got his bill. Republicans got on board. And now all that is left for those opposed to this monstrosity is to make the Republicans who voted for it pay a political price. Just hours ago, House Republicans voted by a very thin margin to approve Donald Trump's deficit-busting, Medicaid-slashing omnibus MAGA bill. Trump's expected to sign it into law tomorrow, the 4th of July, in a televised event at the White House. Now, he'll be signing into law a bill that virtually everyone on Capitol Hill either openly or tacitly admits is a piece of garbage. I mean, its fundamental structure, like the big things it does, is hand out tax cuts to the very wealthy and to corporations, and cuts nearly $1 trillion with a T out of Medicaid over the next decade. It kicks an estimated 12 million Americans off their health insurance. And because the bill will turn ICE into the world's largest police force and sets back the U.S. energy industry by decades with handouts to oil and coal subsidies, the whole thing comes together to add $3 trillion to the deficit. That has pitted Trump against his former benefactor, world's richest man, Elon Musk. Musk has blasted the bill as an insane attack on clean energy and balanced budgets. He's vowed to primary Republicans who vote for it, and he's attacked Trump online over it. This morning, before the House vote, someone on social media posted, "Release the unredacted Epstein files." Musk replied with a single word, "Yes." You'll remember last month, at the height of their sniping over the bill, Musk had said in a now deleted post, quote, "Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files." He later apologized for that, or said he went too far. Obviously, we don't know if that's true. All we know is that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were good buddies, and Donald Trump said that Jeffrey Epstein liked him young. Now, I generally would take Elon Musk with a huge grain of salt, but some of his actual criticisms of the bill have been quite valid and shared by other Republicans. All the way into the wee hours Wednesday night, Trump faced some resistance from holdouts in his own party, although I think most of us felt that we knew where this was going to end up. But fundamentally, some of them, at least, know how ruinous it's going to be for the communities they represent and needed some convincing to get on board. Even Trump's most stalwart allies couldn't really even bring themselves to fake enthusiasm for the thing. It's really amazing. I've just been watching this. Like, here's an example. Here's Congressman Ryan Zinke. He's Trump's former Interior Secretary, giving an endorsement of the bill that sounds like anything but.
You know, it probably has too much salt, not enough pepper. There's some small gambling issues in it that can be corrected, but I don't think that this is the vehicle to correct it. Overall, there's no poison pills in it. If you're a fiscal hawk on one side, you know, you're probably not satisfied. If you're moderate on the other side, you're not satisfied. Right. So overall, I think this is the best we can do at the moment.
That's the person voting for and advocating for the bill. Now, despite all that, most of the Republican holdouts relented. House Speaker Mike Johnson could afford to lose 3 votes. Ultimately, only 2 Republicans voted against the bill. The New York Times reports that holdouts who visited Trump yesterday walked out with signed merchandise, photos in the Oval Office, and by some accounts, a newfound appreciation for the bill targets all of a blunt force charm offensive waged with precision by the president. I mean, I don't think it's like that precise, right? He just had the holdouts to the White House where he signed stuff for them. One of those holdouts, Tim Burchett of Tennessee, a Freedom Caucus member whose social media bio calls him a fiscally conservative Republican, posted a video to social media gushing about his White House visit and his swag bag.
The president was wonderful, as always, informative, funny. Told me he liked seeing me on TV. It's just kind of cool. Thank y'all so much for sending me here. I'm incredibly humbled. What he signed for you? Yeah, he signed a bunch of stuff. It's cool.
Oh, well, that's cool. You got stuff signed by the prez. Today, both those guys voted to add $3 trillion to the deficit. It was a replay of the scene last weekend before the Senate passed the bill. Trump hosted a handful of Republican senators at his Virginia golf resort before they voted his way. One of them, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, told the Times he likes hosting people. It relaxes him. Quote, Mr. Trump told him, Lindsey Graham, he could go to the pro shop and pick out a shirt. Go pick out a shirt. So Trump can still sway these folks into voting for a bill that just wrecks their constituents. But now they got to sell it, right? Today, his Republican caucus loudly celebrated the vote. Florida Republican Byron Donalds, one of the guys who got some Trump swag, importantly, told NBC News the bill takes care of investors and job creators, and pretty soon their success will trickle down to the rest of us.
I was in Missouri. I spoke to actually a patient who voted for President Trump, a Republican voter who was not qualified for Medicaid until Missouri voted to expand it because of how low the wages there are for teachers, for nurses, for police officers. What do you say to those people? Are you worried that you cost them their vote?
No, actually, I'm not worried, because what we're also doing in this bill on the other side is we are expanding our economy. We are going to get far more investment into the United States. So whether it's Florida, Missouri, Utah, Texas, wherever you're talking about, California, people will be able to have a stronger economy, a more durable economy, so wages actually will go up.
Getting won over by a swag bag of Donald Trump t-shirts is maybe the most embarrassing thing I've ever heard. Republicans pretend like they're the big, strong, macho, tough guys, but like some merch got you. I could have signed something for you. I could have bought you a hat. And 17 million people could have kept their health care. Is that all it took? Do you want like on us to get you like a baseball or something? Like, what is wrong with these guys? They are embarrassing. And it is our job to call them out. If you want to support our work doing that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.